day something happened. Everywhere in Nigeria, there are queues, hiking fuel prices and a whole lot. But before we go into that proper, right? Don't you think that this came too sudden? Maybe the president should have just given a break, or maybe it just came too sudden. What do you think?
Well, concerning your last statement, I don't think a lot of people will agree with you that I'm an ardent supporter of the Labour Party, but I'll take it. I'll take it. I
Okay.
really enjoyed Peter Obi's campaign, and I was actually glad he gave in so much effort into running for office. Okay, so back to the question. You see, these people really did not just understand this progress. I don't think that the full subsidy thing was not today. This is something that has started even way back since 2000. Yeah, 2000 during during the governance of President Olusegun Obasanjo. Though it has transformed and metamorphosized it from different names now into one leg of it that we're seeing as full subsidy. In fact, I do not think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a choice. This is not one thing he has a choice. This is a natural flow of the petroleum industrial bill that was passed in 2021, August 2021, that essentially made NNPC a company. I would describe it as a limited liability company, and part of that bulk is that the prices of petroleum needs to be decided by the market, by market price. It's like a regular company. It's like you starting a company and you have to make money.
Hmm.
So NNPC moved from what NNPC is and become open, and that part of the bill states which makes petroleum industry deregulated. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, one of the provision was that when it was signed, the bill allowed 6 months before it was implemented. So from 2021 to 2022, I think it should have been really enforced in 2022. But I mean, President Muhammadu Buhari, in his own wisdom, probably didn't enforce it. But now, even when they passed the bill for this year, the budget for this year,
Hmm.
it was not part of. They just gave like a 6 month subsidy was just 6 months. It ended in June. So now that Bola Ahmed is coming in, he does not even have a choice. It's not like something he has planned because Muhammadu Buhari did not even put subsidy past June. But yes, everybody is panicking. They do not know what the prices will be. They do not know how what are going to change it, what's going to change, etc. And that's why we are seeing a lot of queue. NNPC has told us that, of course, there's a lot of fuel in the country, and we should not panic. But clearly, the natural impetus or impulse of people is to go freak out and say, "Oh, we're not sure how this is going to affect people. We're not sure if fuel is going to be available. We're not sure what is going to happen." So that is the essence of the queue we've seen over the past 24 to 48 hours. I will not say I know APC and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It looks like they are the one that did this, but this is a long term coming kind of project.
Oh, your last statement sounds like, why would you say that?
Yeah, because I said that, like I said, given the historical perspective of the petroleum industrial bill that made the subsidy, that brought out the subsidy part of it, and also that the President Muhammad Buhari did not even put the subsidy more than 6 months in the appropriation bill
Hmm.
of the year. So, literally, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not have a choice. He's
Okay.
literally inheriting a government without subsidy. So his announcement, whether he announces it or he does not announce it, it does not even matter.
Okay.
The subsidy has already kicked in.
Okay, let me just give us a brief summary of what is ongoing here in Nigeria. Talking about the court and spiraling cost. I know that, remember rather, that a controversial announcement in the new president's inaugural speech had set off a chain of events in, I would say, Africa's largest oil producing country and economy, which is Nigeria. And the president announced a controversial fuel subsidy cut during his inauguration on Monday, which was May 29, 2023. The administration of Nigeria's new president had started, some say, with a snag. At his inauguration on Monday, when he actually announced that, it later resulted, like I said earlier, in a high price and a long queue nationwide. Although the policy goes into effect on June 1st, which is supposed to be tomorrow, it has already sparked concerns and chaos. Nigerians had rushed to buy fuel before its cost even increases even further. So the removal sparked widespread protests for some time, you know, and organized by labor unions. I think civil societies and opposition party leaders. You know, there had been some arguments and a whole lot of things. And I know that currently there have been a list that has been sent out, a list for that tells us how much fuel will be sold in virtually all the states in Nigeria. And then we'll take a look at that list in the course of the show. We'll take a look at that list, and we'll also take a look at the reactions from different unions, different labor union organizations. We had from the Trade Union Congress, we had from the Nigerian Labor Congress, the NLC as well, and we even had from different people and in different states. So one of the questions I'm trying to ask is, do you think that there should have been maybe measures being put in place before this takes effect? But before we come back to answering that question, we'll just go on a short break. When we come right back, we'll address that issue. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. It's still the program, The Law of the People and Governance, here on Spectrum Television. And we've been taking a look at fuel subsidy and, of course, the widespread effect as it has here on Nigerians. And let's take a look at the list of fuel prices across the state here in Nigeria. So we'll just understand what's really happening. If you take a close look at that list, you look at Abuja, the FCT, Abuja, all the way from 194 naira to 537 naira. And then you take a look at Lafia, Nasarawa. It has all the way from 189 to 537. I can't mention all the states. I can't mention all the states here, and let's quickly check what Lagos has. You get to Lagos State. Lagos State all the way from 184 naira to 488 naira, and then you come to Uyo here in Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at Akwa Ibom State. Okay, Akwa Ibom State here is a bit crazy here in Akwa Ibom State. The fuel price is quite costly, and then you get to Enugu as well. Enugu is selling for 520 naira all the way from 189 naira. You get to Cross River State. Cross River is selling from 194 naira to 511 naira. And the question is, do you think that measures would have been put in place to cushion the effect on Nigerians before this takes effect? That is the big questions Nigerians are asking. Should it have just happened like that, or should they have been some things been put in place in order to, make sure it doesn't affect the people like we had in the Naira scarcity when it happened? So we're coming back to our guest who is on standby waiting for us. Welcome back, Dr. Demola.
Thank you so much.
All right, so that's the big question now. We're taking a look at the price list. Fuel selling, I think the price skyrocketed even more than expected. I understand that subsidy has to do with the government payment of subsidy, government paying for half the price of what every Nigeria consumes, right? And then for that has been a great burden on the government as well. So it should be a good thing, a welcomed development, something that would help the economy of Nigeria. But also understand that once the price of fuel goes high, every other thing goes high as well. Here in Akwa Ibom State, trust me, once that was said on Monday, the next day things changed. Like you can't even buy food item, it was, I think everybody was on standby. Everybody was on standby. Everything, prices of everything, including transportation, skyrocketed as well. So don't you think that the president would have had a second thought, maybe put, some cushion effect or measures to just cushion the effect on Nigerians?
I agree with you. I think that we should have had a little bit of sipping in into the present realities.
Mm,
I feel that, like we've all known, the Nigerian government, they are one, poor in communication, information dissemination is really poor, and also implementation of policy is always poor. Like you rightly said, look at what happened in the Naira redesign with the CBN. So they have this way of just forcing things on Nigerians, which I do not actually agree is the best. But you see, whatever way, I do not think that this would have been. I do not see this probably much in a better way. I think the queues would have happened even if they've announced for 20 years. I mean, Nigerians are very reactive people. They will still want to try to hoard. People will try to unnecessarily inflate price. We saw yesterday a fuel station actually selling as high as 1,000 naira, and people, I think the authorities had to go around to lock some of the fuel stations up. So, well, that's our normal characteristics. But by and large, I feel that yes, absolutely, there could have been a better way, and they actually made effort. I know they secured about 800 million dollars from World Bank to cushion some of this effect. I
mm.
hope that the money is judiciously used and not just palliative, like they say, and come and go. So I think that they thought about it a little bit, but they probably did not make the most of what they should have done. Probably educate people, educate the consumers, educate the marketers, educate everybody about this windfall that is coming, and also say, okay, this is the potential effect. And
Okay.
also our consumer protection agency, you see, this is actually where they should be on standby, because you're boarding for 50 naira when the price was 200 or 197. It doesn't mean you should start charging 500 because the price is now 500. The full price is now about 500. No, there should be a way that the market is regulated in such a way that people don't just overcharge or extort people. The prices you just read out are just NNPC prices. NNPC is like every gas station in Nigeria. So these are not official prices. The market now is deregulated. So Corn Oil can decide to put a price on their fuel. Total can decide to put a price on their fuel, no matter what they want. But NNPC, because they also have gas stations and fuel stations, that is the price they are going to be selling, and everybody definitely is going to revolve around that. So the prices you are reading out from Akwa Ibom,
Yeah,
which is I
Aquabum
think
here is 115 naira. Or 515 naira.
515 naira. So I'm sure when you step out of your office, you might see other fuel stations selling at 600. You will now be you are, I mean the ball. You will have to decide: do I
Where
want
to
to buy
go to, right?
600 from here, or I want to drive up the hill to an NNPC station where I can buy for 515
Mm.
or thereabout? Because then it's now for profit. So, but I hope that there's going to be a band width around that area, a range, not just people extort. Maybe when you know you're the only filling station in one area, and you know that people for you, the next station is probably like another 5 miles away, then you jack the price up unnecessarily. So I hope that our consumer protection agencies, our law enforcement officer will help us, or will help Nigeria in that regard, not to exploit Nigerians. I do not think they like. Well, I don't have any more expectations in terms of how they implement their policies, just because of what they have done in the past, how they implement policies, and how they just like rack it on all of us. But it is a necessary evil. I think it's probably a welcome development, like most Nigerians have
Mm.
said it. A lot of Nigerians want it to go. In our bill for this year, we had the budget for subsidies is about 3.7 trillion just for 6 months, and that is even more than the yearly budget of education, health, and infrastructure road put together. So it is a huge amount of money we're just spending to subsidize petrol for people. And I hope that that money, that 3.7 trillion, especially in the second half of the year, can be used for something. And that's the conversation that they should be giving us. They should be talking to us about that. This 3.7 trillion, since we are not using it for this,
It should go to
again, we're
this.
going to be directing it into this area.
Okay, but how crucial is it that the Dangote refinery is here now? I know it's quite sad that some people seem not to be optimistic about it.
Well, Dangote is a businessman. Uh, he's probably going to shield us from external forces in terms of, or if something happens in some of the our the people that refine oil for us before in other countries, if they want to lowball us, or because of maybe war or something, they decide not to function. We can now say that no, okay, we have an alternative in house. So Dangote refinery
Mm.
is not what's it called? It's not for a philanthropist enterprise. So he is going to be making profit too. We don't know what the prices are going to be set out. We are not. I'm not essentially really sure how much he's going to be charging, but I don't think he's going to also be charging below market price. That man has invested a lot of money into his business, and I'm sure, like a businessman, he wants to make money.
Okay.
But I think the policies should come in to protect Nigerians.
Okay, but since Dangote will be refining for us locally, will that force down the price? What do you think?
He's not refining for us. He's a businessman. He's just
But
he
I,
saw
I
he
know he's a
saw
businessman, but if he's
yeah.
refining and we're buying the product.
Yes, well, we're buying the products. Also, I think NNPC is also going to open up. I think they're trying to open up even the business opportunity for people who still want to continue to import fuel, because it's about pricing now. So if you can import fuel and you can sell at a reduced price, go for it. The sector is
Mm.
100% regulated right now. So if Dangote is also going to look at the market and say, okay, if NNPC is selling for 515 in Uyo, I better not sell. I have to understand that people also have to make money. So maybe he's bringing it out at 300 naira or thereabout. So this is like a free market now. People are going to decide the prices. I do not think that because we now have Dangote in house, the price is going to jump down, especially because Dangote does not have fuel stations. He doesn't have filling stations called Dangote. He probably has, I mean, there are Cornell and some other
Mm.
filling stations that are probably associated with him in the past, himself and Tedola or whatever. But if he has a filling station himself and he decides to really drop his prices, then a lot of people will have to follow in that queue. You get what I'm saying? It's just market strategies. But because he's refining for us, he's also still buying this crude oil, remember. So it's not free. The crude oil is not free for him. So it's not as if we're giving him or donating or dashing him crude oil. He's a businessman that has seen the opportunity and has invested in that space.
Okay, so following your reactions, okay, what you've
Yeah.
said. Now, does that mean that this doesn't change anything at all?
I, the bigger picture it changes. Like I said, now we are sure that there's no external forces that can affect our fuel consumption. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Also,
Like
also put the issue of
something.
monopoly, in mind.
Well, monopoly is there. You see, I like to look at things more from the positive, then go to the negative side. That's why I'm starting with.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
the positive side is that now you're producing in your own house,
Mm.
so we can actually make sure that there's constant supply of fuel for Nigerians, no matter what, no matter who is fighting. If Egypt is annoyed with Algeria, if in the Mediterranean Sea or the
And just go
Atlantic
straight to the
Sea.
point. Talk about the Russia and Ukraine war.
Exactly. So if there are wars going on around, we can say, okay, cars will still continue to move in Nigeria. Those are like big picture level to it. There's going to be a lot of employment. Dangote is probably going to be employing thousands of people around. So there's a lot of things around that. But is it the negative? Like I said, monopoly, and I think that there are government interventions in that area. I don't think he's also going to just jack off his prices, and because like I said, I think NNPC is also trying to open up the license for people who want to import fuel. So because you are refining, I mean, does not mean that your prices will probably be lower. If somebody can import and sell at a lower price, then people are not going to buy from your refinery. So it's going to be a lot of players in the game, but I don't think that the prices will drop. It will drop significantly. Like I said, he's a businessman, and it's how to make money. But there
Okay.
won't be. I also think there won't be monopoly because there's going to be a little bit of government intervention in it.
Okay.
Government also have stakes in the refinery.
Okay, let's talk about the issue of timing. This is coming in, and it looks like it's just happening immediately. Um, like I said, it has skyrocketed the prices of things in other sectors, the transportation, cost of living generally. Okay,
Yeah.
and like we saw in 2012, don't you think that maybe because of pressure, the government is going to, maybe they are being pressurized and they go back on their words? What will happen?
What if we go back on which words? Go back on the subsidy
Yes.
removal? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to go back on subsidy removal because you see, Nigeria does not have money. We have money. Let me just say that. But they have told us we don't have money. They've told us
That
we
was a
don't have money.
twist.
Yes, I mean, I know we have money, but because there's so many leakages. Look at what happened in the bunker. There are people siphoning our fuel and making it look like there's so many agricultural sector. The drivers. The funny thing is that even the petroleum industry just contributes, I think, about 10% to our GDP. There's so many other. The agriculture, the service sector contributes more to the GDP. But because the petroleum sector is where we get our foreign exchange, etc. So when that it impacts the way our economy behaves. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not sustainable because of the high amount of the. For instance, look at our budget for this year. Our budget for this year about 21 trillion.
Mm.
Out of the 21 trillion, we can only in Nigeria generate about 8 to 9 trillion from the IGR of the country. So we have a budget deficit of almost about 12 or 11 trillion, thereabout, which we are probably going to borrow. Out of that money, out of that 21 trillion, is almost 7 trillion, which is going to government, which is going to petroleum subsidy. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So we need to be able to cut our clothes according to our, not our size, our the material we have. And I think the most important one is at least cut down on. Imagine we have out of the 21 trillion, we remove the 3.7 trillion of the initial petrol subsidy. That makes it 18, right? It
Mm.
means that the amount we have to borrow has reduced a little bit. So it's the subsidy is really impacting on our economy. We keep borrowing. The interest rate is going up. We're borrowing to do everything. Look at the rail service. Chinese had to come to do the rail for us. A lot of our roads are being done by Sukuk. So many other infrastructure that we cannot do by ourselves because we don't have, in quotes, that money. So I do not think that they are going to reverse that. I think Nigerians, again, like after like 1 or 2 months, will adapt to the normal realities. I don't know if you remember, but fuel used to be like 87 naira or whatever. As young as I am, I still remember it was cheap or something. Was it? So it was really low at different points in my life. So and now he's 97, and now he's 500 or whatever.
And that looks
So
look that looks like a fixed price.
it will dance around that. Hopefully, they will start putting things in place to drag down the price. Do you understand? That's really how market goes. They'll start putting things. Maybe there might be more refineries that will spring up that will make refining competitive and a lot more in the market. Like glut, like oil glut. There's just oil everywhere. Then everybody's selling at a reduced price so that it can go out. There are probably going to be electric vehicles. Once there are electric vehicles, then there's less dependence on petrol, at least in the automobile industry, so that it drives price. So some of these things will come down also depending on how we react to it. But I don't think they're going to go back on their words.
Okay, but while this is ongoing, right, what do you think maybe the government or before now would have done, right, or can still do to help Nigerians? Because trust me, I remember one of the catchy, I would say it caught my attention, speech the president made was saying he's not going to suffocate the poor. He's going to let them breathe, allow them, run an inclusive governance and one that favors both the rich and the poor. So right now, I think the poor is getting poorer and struggling with the recent announcement of subsidy removal. So what do you think would have been done or can still be done, to proffer solution?
I mean, it's a tough call for government at this point. One of the things that they have to go back to is basic amenities. You see, everything after basic amenities is not a luxury, but it's a stretch. So if food, clothing, and shelter and everything are taken care of, for instance, there's a likelihood for people to feel less the impact of a subsidy removal. So where the government can come in and intervene is actually in the basic amenities of life. Like I said, food, prices of food. I know we are producing rice in-house now, but it's still expensive compared to how it used to be. I don't know the current price, but I know it was about 40 or 35,000 at some points per bag, which used to be 8,000 a couple of years. You're smiling. You're wondering how I
I'm
know the prices
smiling.
of
No,
rice.
I'm not wondering because right now you're talking about the price of half bag right now.
Oh, so how much is the price of bag right
A
now?
half bag is 20,500 or thereabout. So you could imagine if that is half bag. So how much would full bag be?
Oh, okay. Well, just a couple of months ago, I used to think it was about 40,000. It's probably about 50,000.
Way
So,
way back 2016, we could get a bag of rice for 18 or 16,000 naira. And then
and there was a time.
I just wonder, we are producing it locally, but the price gets higher. So
Yeah.
should we go back to opening borders and bringing back things?
I mean, if that will help, now that the market has been stimulated, I think what we need to introduce is probably some competition into it. There were times that MTN was selling for, I think, 23,000 their SIM card, but when Glow, Airtel, and everybody came inside, the market really just revolved around the competition side of it. So now that the local marketers have probably been stimulated, I had in Kano or is it Kaduna, there are a lot of rice mills
Mm.
probably run by Chinese or Indians or what have you. But I think the local capacity has really been improved. Probably need to introduce some competition into that. so that it can probably drive price. Hopefully, I'm not an economist, I'm a politician. So I feel they probably need to still go back to their tables and Excel file to see how that essentially works. But
Mm.
yes, they need to protect, there needs to be social on safety net. And I personally don't always believe in giving more salaries, increasing salaries. I feel that how much salary can you continue to increase to cater for people? What you need to do is reduce the cost of services. I mean, for instance, in Lagos, there's a lot of things that are being controlled by the government. Transportations, etc. There are ways that those things can be brought back and reduce the cost for people, literally. So I totally agree with you that Nigerians, especially the poor, educate in terms of education, in terms of healthcare, there should be a lot of subsidy in that in those aspects to leverage and help people. Because yes, it's probably whatever it is. It's probably 500. Also, like I said, you see, if we make sure that consumers are protected, the price might not be that crazy. If somebody is carrying you for 50 naira before, but now he wants to start carrying goods and services for
Mm.
200, I think that's horrible because it's not carrying one person. Remember, it's carrying like 10 people.
Okay.
So I think we need to be protected.
Oh,
But and I think that is really where that's. But we, like I said, we had about 800 million loan from World Bank. I feel that they are also going to infuse it into different part of the sector to help leverage these issues.
okay. Away from that, Dr. Bayale, looking at fuel subsidy, let's look at the president's administration entirely. Okay, um, what would you likely think, or what would you say if you were supposed to advise the president? Which sector would you say, or which sectors would you say, oh, within his first 100 days in office, he should be able to put this right?
Uh, that's a tough call because you see, uh, governance is interwoven. There's a lot of areas that people just want immediate impacts there. But you see, one of the things that which he mentioned in his inaugural speech is the security. You see, when you have free movement of goods and services, people can transact across the country in peace. There's the insecurity is at a low level. Then you see, there's a way it impact how people perceive uh, even the quality of their lives. I've seen people who have to defer their law school or their youth service, just or even employment opportunities because they cannot travel to different places in the country. I've seen investors who don't want to come into the country because they have a perception that the country is not safe. I've seen so many opportunities gone down the drain because of the insecurity issues. People are being kidnapped, the headsmen, farmlands are being destroyed, all sorts of things across. So the insecurity part aspect of Nigeria is bothersome, is worrisome, and I hope that it's going to in the first 100 days take decisive actions. Look at the middle belt. Look at what is happening in Plateau. Even recently, a lot of people dying almost every time. So I hope that is going to take a very decisive, high on step in terms of insecurity across the north, across Nigeria,
Hmm.
that Nigeria feels safe. You cannot have expensive inflation, and even in that inflation, you cannot even still purchase anything because you are not sure. You don't feel secure. A lot of people believe in Nigeria. A lot of people who live in diaspora believe in Nigeria, but they don't want to come because they feel that it is not safe. So that image of safety in the first place needs to be taken care of.
So how do you
I,
feel? I know you're a Nigerian in diaspora.
I feel good. I was in Nigeria for in the past 3 years. I was in Nigeria in all the wards and all the whatever. Even, when you see me, you don't even know I've lived out of the country for one day. So I'm a very typical local man. I can be anywhere, anytime. But of course, again, I'm very careful about my movement, and also have to provide an extra layer of
That's because
security.
you don't trust the security sector, right? To be working
Hundred
very
percent,
well.
100%. And I've told some of their spokesperson, I cannot trust somebody that collects bribe on the road. It just does not make sense. I cannot trust somebody that extorts motorists and extorts everybody. How can you wear uniform and be extorting people? That is, if there's something they want to do about Nigerian police today, is to really revamp that attitude. We used to be in Nigeria when the military, you also did that. They had roadblocks at every spot. One day they just woke up, we woke up and they were gone. So Nigerian police, the security architecture needs to stop. We look at what they did during the election. They were either snatching ballot box or protecting people who were snatching ballot box. So is that a security you want to really rely or put your life in their hands? So that is one area of this economy of the country that needs to really be needs really huge attention. Then job provision, which is not job on its own. I mean, there's so many things you have to provide, like power, like infrastructure,
That forms
like
enabling environment.
exactly. Because I don't even think that the government will provide job by themselves. Do you understand? But when they give it, when they put in subsidies or help some sectors, probably provide power. Now we have 24 hours uninterrupted power supply. People will leverage on that to boost their businesses. If we have good roads that leads into some areas, then people can go and do business in other places. So it is Nigerians that by themselves that will think about the business they can do in an environment, but the government needs to provide that enabling environment for them. So, and that is what is going to make the job market boom. So, I mean, there's so many interwoven parts of it. The monetary policy, I know they are saying something about the monetary
Yeah,
policy. We have
the
so
president
many.
had said he has to look into that.
Exactly. We have so many exchange rates. There's exchange rates for the poor, exchange rate for the middle class, exchange rates for
Mm.
Dangote, exchange rate for all of them. And there's black market. All those things need to be consolidated. It does not make sense, and I think it does. Some rich people in Nigeria are just even doing what do they call these recycling money. That's what they do. They collect money from the government at a lower exchange rate, go sell it, and that's all. They don't have any serious business. They like that they are going to buy gas or whatever. So you need to consolidate that part so that we are not just draining some of the national resources. So that's another area that needs to be touched on. I hope and I'm hoping that this government communicates with Nigerians. They talk to Nigerians. They explain things to Nigerians. The country is the president is a leader, looks at Nigerians and saying, "Dear Nigerians, I know this is going on and this is what we are doing." I'm not saying he needs to come and do broadcasts every day, but very periodically when it is extremely necessary. We should not be seeing him only when he's going to receive care in France, healthcare in France or something, and be waving to us at the what's it called on the plane. And be a true leader. Improve the healthcare facility of the country. Use our hospitals. Let us also believe in what we do. So there's a lot of places, healthcare, education. Our education is not too much to write home about. We're doing well in the African space, but you see, the world is now flat. If you compare the education in Africa or in Nigeria to European, American, etc., we're still running miles ahead behind. So we need to improve the educational sector and have people who actually go to school to learn and learn something they can be proud of. And also the education is also there, the healthcare is also there, the security is there. So many aspects I can talk about. But I'm hopeful. Today's this one day in. Don't let us put the cart uh, in front of the horse. We'll see how this goes.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Demola Bayonle. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
All right, do have a great time.
You too.
All right, back to the people. Thank you so much for staying glued or to your TV set. It's been a show, The Law of the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. And of course, we've been taking a look at the fuel subsidy and how it affects Nigerians and probably what we feel the government should put in place in order to help cushion the effect of the crisis. Yeah, it's a crisis. The effect of the crisis on the people, the common people on the street as well. There's so many queues in different filling stations all across the state here in Nigeria. And what can the government possibly do to help the high cost of living, because it is affecting every other sector of the economy as well? Well, we're still looking forward to the president and hoping that as he leads Nigeria, he's going to do great and, of course, come up with policies that will favor each and everybody in Nigeria. This is where we close the curtains today on the show, The Law of the People and Governance. Catch you again tomorrow. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTv.ng. My name is Rachel David White. Good evening.